Look at this ancient, beautifully detailed chart of 30 Arabian mythical creatures we have in our stack today.
Oh, yeah. It is a truly fascinating source.
Right, and you'll see the famous heavy hitters right away. Like you've got the violently ravenous ghoul and the fire-breathing ifrit, just, ready to level a sea block.
The classics, really.
Exactly. But the most terrifying monster on this list actually doesn't have fangs. It doesn't use fire.
No, it uses something far more destructive.
Right, a broken promise. It is called Al-Ghadar.
And that lack of obvious physical weaponry is exactly what makes Al-Ghadar stand out so starkly from the rest of the bestiary.
It really does.
Because, most monsters in global folklore represent our fear of the external natural world. Wild animals, the dark, the violent element.
Yeah, things that physically hunt you.
Exactly. But Al-Ghadar represents an internal threat. It weaponizes broken trust, which, if you think about it, can dismantle a community far faster than any physical predator.
Totally. And what started as a simple monster hunt through these pre-Islamic texts quickly turned into something else for us.
It really became a whole different project.
Because this creature is actually a genius map of human psychology. So whether you are managing a team at the office or navigating complex friendships.
Or maybe you're just captivated by the darker corners of the human mind.
Right. The mission of this deep dive is to explore how ancient Arabian cultures conceptualize the sheer toxicity of betrayal.
It is a remarkable psychological profile, really, just dressed up as a ghost story.
Yeah.
And to truly grasp the mechanics of how this creature operates, we must look at its origins.
Which are intense.
Very. Those origins are tragic and profoundly uncomfortably human. You see, unlike the Ghoul or the Ifrit, which are born as supernatural entities, Al-Ghadar was actually forged from a person.
The timeline here is so compelling, too. We are looking at folklore originating centuries before Islam.
Deep in the oral traditions of the Najd and Hejaz tribes.
Yeah.
Over in the Arabian Peninsula.
And the story centers on a man named Muhalhel bin Ghanim.
Yes, Muhalhel.
And Muhalhel was not some outcast, lurking on the fringes of society. He was an outwardly noble, highly respected man.
Extremely respected.
Right, from a tribe known as Bani al-Wafa, which literally translates to the tribe of loyalty.
And we really need to pause on what the tribe of loyalty meant in this specific historical context.
Because it wasn't just a catchy name.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
In the harsh environment of the ancient Arabian desert, there were no banks, there were no digital footprints.
No lawyers.
Right, no formal legal systems to enforce contracts. Survival depended entirely on your word.
And the texts explicitly state that this tribe was so incredibly trusted that neighboring tribes would just leave their life savings with them.
Just drop it off, yeah.
No witnesses, no written documents, just a verbal agreement.
That level of absolute trust was their most valuable asset. It was everything.
And Muhalhel is sitting right in the center of that paragon of virtue. But internally, he is entirely consumed by a secret, festering hatred.
He harbors a massive grudge against the tribal chief.
And the reason is shockingly mundane. It was literally just a petty dispute over some spoils that the chief had awarded to Muhalhel's younger brother instead of him.
It's always the petty stuff, isn't it?
It really is. It just marinates in the brain and turns toxic.
And the higher the pedestal, the farther the fall. Muhalhel allows this perceived slight to grow into an all-consuming resentment.
Which brings us to the tipping point.
Right. An invading army arrives to attack Bani al-Wafa.
The tribe knows they are heavily outnumbered, but they actually have a solid strategy.
They know if they can just hold their defensive perimeter for one single night,
Just one night.
their allies will arrive at dawn and they will be saved.
But Muhalhel sees his window. He makes a backdoor deal with the invaders.
He sneaks out.
Yeah, he sneaks out and agrees to open a hidden path into the camp under the cover of darkness. And in exchange, the invaders promise to make him the new chief of whatever is left of the tribe once the dust settles.
He literally trades the lives of his family and neighbors for a hollow title.
And the result is total devastation.
The invaders pour through that secret path. The entire tribe is massacred in their sleep.
Women, children, the chief.
And the younger brother, Muhalhel, was so jealous of. The tribe of loyalty is effectively wiped off the map.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the grand irony of betrayal is that a traitor is rarely trusted by the people who buy his treason,
That is a very good point.
The invaders completely break their promise to Muhalhel. They don't make him chief.
No, they look at what he just did to his own family, realize he is a complete liability, and leave him with absolutely nothing.
which feels so relatable to modern situations. Like, think about modern corporate sabotage.
Oh, absolutely.
You see these scenarios where an insider, maybe, I don't know, a middle manager who got passed over for a promotion, decides to just burn their own company down.
It happens more than you'd think.
Right, they leak proprietary secrets to a rival, wreck the internal culture, all out of petty jealousy, and they do it thinking the acquiring rival company is going to reward them with a massive executive role.
But once the dust settles,
They just get fired by the new owners anyway, because nobody trusts a traitor. You're a security risk.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it fascinating that ancient folklore recognized that true evil doesn't start with a monster, but with mundane human resentment?
what's fascinating here is how this origin story operates as a permanent moral warning.
Yeah.
It illustrates that betrayal leaves a permanent stain. It doesn't just hurt the victims who trusted you.
Right.
It fundamentally mutates the perpetrator's soul into something unrecognizable. The folklore is basically arguing that a betrayal of that absolute magnitude strips you of your humanity.
And that mutation is where the story shifts from a historical tragedy into, like, a full-on cosmic horror story.
It's very dark.
Muhahel is left with nothing, and he ends up wandering deep into the desert, completely alone. He dies during a massive sandstorm with nobody to mourn him.
A terrible way to go.
But the text says the gravity of his sin was so immense, so unnaturally heavy, that the earth literally rejected his body.
It refused to take him.
Yeah, and the sky rejected his soul. So he is trapped in this horrific limbo.
And over the course of 1001 nights, trapped between the earth and the sky, he undergoes a gruesome transformation.
Oh, man.
He is born anew from what the texts call the womb of treachery, becoming the very first Al-Ghadar.
And when you take a human soul and steep it in that level of cosmic rejection, the physical form that emerges is going to be deeply unsettling.
Oh, absolutely.
The ancient text describes something that operates right in the center of the uncanny valley. Since Al-Ghadar was forged from a soul trapped between worlds, its physical manifestation is designed to mock human intimacy.
It is a shapeshifter, yes.
Right. But it always retains certain consistent, bizarre traits. Let's start with its posture.
Okay.
It is always exactly a head taller than a normal man, but it never stands up straight. It is permanently hunched over, as if it's carrying a massive, invisible boulder on its shoulders.
And that is the physical burden of guilt, made literal.
Wow, yeah.
The weight of the broken oath physically deforms the creature, no matter what shape it takes.
Then there is the face. The sources state it shapes its face to look like someone you know and deeply trust. A best friend, a brother, a mentor.
Someone close to you.
Exactly. But when you look at it, something is distinctly incomplete. The texts use that specific word, incomplete.
Like something's missing.
Yeah, it's like an AI-generated sketch of your friend that just missed a vital detail, and the eyes are a dead giveaway.
They are.
It will never, ever make eye contact with you. It actively looks away, tracking the corners of the room.
Which brings us to his voice. The creature's voice is described as incredibly sweet.
Creepy.
Very. It adapts perfectly to your desires, whispering whatever you most want to hear. But the crucial, chilling detail is that it only ever uses that sweet voice to swear oaths as a liar.
It is physically incapable of telling the truth.
Exactly.
And if you happen to brush against it, its fingers are described as unnaturally long and cold as iron on the absolute hottest summer night.
Such a visceral detail.
I know, right? But here is the ultimate tell. The big secret, known only to the wise, its shadow moves against the sun.
Yes.
So if the sun is blazing in the east, the shadow points east. It openly defies the physical world. But I have to push back on this logic a little bit.
How so?
Well, if this creature's entire survival strategy, its whole method of operation is based on blending in perfectly and mimicking a loved one to gain your trust,
Right.
why have a shadow that completely breaks the laws of physics? Isn't that a massive, obvious giveaway to anyone paying attention?
It is a giveaway, yes, but that is precisely the psychological point the folklore is trying to make.
Okay, I'm listening.
The physical traits you just listed, the hunched back, the freezing hands, the avoiding eyes, these are brilliant, literal manifestations of guilty body language.
Oh, wow.
When someone is lying to you, their body often betrays their words. The incomplete face perfectly mirrors the emotional feeling of looking at a friend who you know has betrayed you.
That makes so much sense.
Right. They look the same, their physical features haven't changed, but the essence of the person you knew isn't completely there anymore. They're a stranger wearing a familiar mask.
So My theory on the shadow moving the wrong way is that it's ancient folklore's way of saying that a liar's story always has a hole in it.
I like that.
Like, no matter how perfectly crafted the lie is,
Mhm.
if you look closely enough at the timeline or the details, something will move against the light. Something won't add up.
Precisely. The shadow breaking the laws of physics represents how a lie breaks the laws of reality. It's a structural flaw in the deception.
Yeah.
A lie requires maintaining a false version of the universe, and eventually the lighting is going to expose the cracks.
That is profound.
And remember, unlike the Ghoul or the Ifrit, Al-Ghaddar's power isn't brute force, it's infiltration. It feeds on acts of betrayal. The texts say it can smell greed and hatred like a wolf smells blood.
But if this creature is a scavenger of human frailty, well, it can't exactly survive in an empty, wild forest, can it?
No, it needs people.
Right. It needs a highly specific ecosystem to feed. Its habitats are incredibly specific. You would assume a monster lives in a dark cave. Not Al-Ghadar.
No.
It lives exactly where trust is tested and broken. It haunts the sites of failed negotiations. It lingers around wells where honest men were murdered.
And the borders.
Yes, it prowls the borders between tribes where oaths are most easily ignored. It sits quietly in the corners of councils of conspiracy.
Just waiting.
And my personal favorite detail, it trails behind trade caravans, just waiting patiently for business partners to turn on each other in the middle of the empty desert.
It seeks out the fault lines in human society.
Exactly.
If we analyze those habitats, borders, trade routes, negotiation tables, these are all places of transition.
Yeah.
These are the environments where human greed is at its absolute highest and where traditional societal rules and familial oversight are at their weakest.
Nobody is watching.
Right. A trade caravan in the middle of nowhere is isolated from the laws and the prying eyes of the village. That is the exact moment you are most tempted to cheat your partner. Al-Ghaddar thrives in the moral gray areas.
And its victim profile reflects that perfectly.
It does.
Because it doesn't just attack random innocent people who are completely pure of heart. The texts state it only targets those who already have a seed of betrayal in their hearts.
It needs a foothold.
Exactly. And when it finds one, it deploys its primary weapon. It's called the Breath of Al-Ghaddar.
Yes, the invisible blow.
Right. It's directed right at a person's chest. And it doesn't kill you. Instead, it plants whispers of paranoia deep in your mind. It causes the victim to slowly, inexplicably, start distancing themselves from their loved ones.
It isolates the prey. It separates the weakest member from the herd, not with claws, but with doubt.
Here's where it gets really interesting. When I read about the Breath of Al-Ghaddar, my mind immediately went to the modern psychological concept of confirmation bias.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
Specifically in toxic relationships or cutthroat workplaces. Think about the mechanics. The creature doesn't possess you. It doesn't take over your motor functions and force you to betray your business partners.
Yeah.
It just breathes a little paranoia into you. It gives you the whispers you need to justify doing it yourself.
You start thinking, they're talking about me behind my back.
Or, they're going to take my share of the profits anyway. I might as well strike first. It just waters the toxic seed that's already planted.
It acts as an opportunistic infection in the social fabric. It takes a minor grievance, much like Mahal Hel's petty dispute over spoils, and magnifies it until it eclipses all logic and loyalty.
But wait, if this thing is invisible or wearing your best friend's face and it's attacking your mind, how did ancient tribes even know it was in the room with them?
That's a great question.
Did they have an early warning system? Because physical weapons, swords, the sources say they're completely useless against it. You can't stab a lie.
They did have an early warning system, actually. And the signs are deeply eerie because they subvert natural expectations.
Like what?
Well, one sign is someone suddenly giving you a shower of unearned praise or swearing intense oaths to you for absolutely no reason.
Oh, like, I swear on my life I didn't do this.
Exactly, when you hadn't even accused them of anything.
That is so suspicious.
But the most chilling detail in the text involves the animals. Normal ghosts or supernatural entities make dogs bark wildly. They sense the paranormal and react with aggression.
Sure.
But if Al-Ghaddar is near, the dogs go completely silent. They just freeze in terror.
Wow.
And the air around you begins to smell like sweet but intensely disgusting rotten honey.
Ugh. The rotten honey is such a potent symbol. It's the sweetness of the deception barely covering the decay of the actual intent.
That's a great way to put it.
So you smell the rotting honey, the dogs go dead quiet, your supposed friend is swearing weird, unsolicited oaths. What do?
You fight back.
But the texts outline defenses that are the exact opposite of the creature's nature. It lives in secrecy, so you defeat it with the light.
And to defeat it with public accountability.
The first countermeasure is public loyalty. If you stand up and loudly declare a promise or an oath of loyalty in front of witnesses, the folklore says Algadar literally melts away from the space.
It cannot exist in the presence of verified truth.
The second defense is confession.
Yes.
If a traitor, someone who has been infected by the breath of Algadar, sincerely confesses their betrayal and asks for forgiveness, the creature instantly loses all power over them.
The grip is broken immediately.
And then there are the environmental rituals. Ancient Arabs would place salt on their doorsteps at night during seasons when they felt the creature was active. And they would read ancient covenants and treaties aloud in areas where it was suspected to be hiding. Now, I understand the public confession, but how does salt actually work against a psychological ghost?
Well, in ancient Arabian folklore, salt was a powerful symbol of preservation and purity. It is the literal antithesis of rot and decay.
Oh, I see.
So when the Ghaddar brings the smell of rotten honey, the spiritual decay of a broken promise, the salt acts as a physical and symbolic boundary of preservation.
It protects the integrity of the home.
Exactly. And the reading of the ancient covenants works on a similar frequency. The text says hearing a kept promise physically pains the creature. It's essentially an allergic reaction to integrity.
This concept was so resonant with these cultures that it became deeply embedded in their language, didn't it?
It really did.
Like pre-Islamic poets used it as a shorthand moral warning. When a poet wrote, "I fear the Ghaddar for you," they weren't literally saying, "Watch out for the monster in the woods."
Right.
They were saying, "Beware of bad company and the corruption of your own heart."
And a myth with that much psychological utility doesn't just fade away when a society changes.
Right.
Later, with the arrival of Islam in the region, the lore naturally evolved. The core concept of Al-Ghaddar's psychological warfare merged seamlessly with Islamic concepts of Satan and malicious jinn.
That makes a lot of sense.
In Islamic theology, you find references to entities whose specific, dedicated purpose is to whisper doubts, sow discord, and fracture the bonds between loved ones and family members.
So the ancient face of Al-Ghadar was simply absorbed into a broader theological framework about the daily battle against temptation and division.
Exactly.
So, what does this all mean for us? Reading through these ancient countermeasures, I was just struck by the profound emotional maturity embedded in them.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about what the folklore is actively teaching people. You don't beat the monster of betrayal by fighting it with more violence or outsmarting it with more deception.
No.
You beat it with radical honesty. You beat it with public accountability and sincere apologies. The cure for the disease of betrayal is extreme transparency.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear that Al-Ghaddar wasn't just a campfire scare to frighten children into behaving.
Right.
It was a sophisticated societal tool. In these ancient tribal cultures, survival depended entirely on group cohesion.
As we saw with Bani al-Wafa.
Exactly. If you couldn't trust your neighbor, the whole tribe could die. The monster was a way to make the abstract, invisible damage of a lie feel real, feel terrifying, and most importantly, feel manageable.
By giving betrayal a physical face, a recognizable smell, and a set of actionable rules, society created a shared language for dealing with toxic behavior.
Precisely.
We've journeyed from the heartbreaking, very human tragedy of Muhalhal's initial betrayal, the massacre of the tribe of loyalty, through the terrifying physical reality of this hunched, incomplete monster haunting the desert.
It's been quite the journey.
We've explored the psychological warfare of the Ghaddar's breath, and finally we've looked at the ancient, deeply human cures of honesty and sincere apologies. And while Al-Ghaddar might technically live on a parchment chart of mythical creatures, the breath of the Ghaddar, that creeping paranoia, that temptation to betray trust for a quick short-term gain, is something every single human being still faces today.
It is. And this raises an important question, something for you to mull over long after you finish listening.
Let's hear it.
In our hyper-connected modern world, we are constantly surrounded by anonymous digital interactions.
That is for sure.
We navigate platforms filled with hidden agendas, fractured attention, and fleeting transactional loyalties. We have essentially built an endless global landscape of borders and trade routes.
Wow.
So ask yourself, if Al-Ghaddar truly feeds on broken trust, insincere alliances, and the quiet paranoia between people,
Yeah?
is our modern society starving this ancient creature? Or are we providing it with the greatest feast it has ever seen?